Hey, sweet souls. My name is Raileigh Duschen. I'm an author, poet, speaker, and healer. Today's message is Stop Suffering. God has better for you. And I just want to start this live tonight with a prayer. And I want to thank the highest divine, whole, pure white light for using me tonight as a vessel for love and for peace to whoever needs to hear this message tonight. Thank you for using me as a speaker for love. And as you guys come in, let me know who you are in the chat. Thank you for being here. So this message is inspired by a soul sister. I hope she doesn't mind. Thank you, Nara, for coming to visit. And I want to share about our conversation that we had together with the community tonight about the transcendence of taking the purpose and the path of pain into alchemy, about transcending your spiritual gifts at this time. If you're listening right now or later, you are on an ascension path. And so how you have currently perceived on your path of taking in your traumas, your pain, your story, whatever it is that your soul has chosen in this lifetime to experience, you are transcending the powers behind how you move that energy, how you're taking that story that you've experienced into purpose, into gifts for others. And as I was speaking with that soul sister, we were talking about how, as empaths, so if you're watching this, if you're a part of this channel, likely you are an empathic person. That means you are deeply sensitive. That means you experience the world through all of your senses. One simple moment of your life can be felt through every cell in your body. And yes, there's a stigma that if you are an empath, then you are a victim to life. Maybe you've experienced really hard things, but it's not always the case. I believe that we are here and we all have different gifts. And the gift of feeling, of experiencing total oneness with everything around you, can be a curse and it can be a blessing. And if you've been on this path and you're watching this, then there is purpose behind why you feel so deeply. And when you experience things, whether it be through your own life or people sharing your stories, you can feel that pain. Oftentimes as healers, for example, if you're watching this, then you may identify with the path of being a healer, then you feel actual pain in your body that isn't yours. It doesn't belong to you because you're so empathic, because you can sympathize with any life form. You take that pain into your body and it allows you awareness. And through that awareness, you're able to provide some type of medicine, first through yourself, and you've been sharing that medicine with other people. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to connect with other people and to heal. But it can also be this curse that you carry when we carry the weight of the pain of everyone around us that doesn't belong to us. And we don't have to do that as a healer. If you have that gift to absorb pain and yet take it off, that is a lot of strength. You are a very strong person to be able to do that. But there comes a point on the healer's path of the earth angel's path, of the starseed's path, and however you identify with being a light worker, being a vessel for divine love on this earth, then you experience pain very often. But the Holy Spirit has been speaking to me about how we can shift out of that, of not having to absorb the pain, but to see pain, to see it everywhere. And that comes with a grief. When your eyes are so open, when your third eye is so clear, when your heart is so pure, you see and you perceive so much darkness around you, so much pain of others. They cannot hide it from you. Through the eyes of the soul, you see people suffering and you can identify with it. You can feel it, but we're moving out. There's an ascension happening where your experience and your ability to support people, to walk with people through that tunnel of darkness, of that suffering, where you don't have to attach to it. You don't have to take it into your body as a healer, as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, as someone here with a sole purpose to raise the consciousness of humanity. We don't have to break ourselves down. We're not here to carry this burden and this weight. You're not here to save anyone. You can't. Your life is meant to be walked on your own. You're meant to be a guiding light and example for others. But you do not have to save anybody. And that is difficult for the empath, to detach from people, situations, and to say that person is strong enough to walk that path on their own. It is hard to look at suffering and to walk away from it. But how can you teach other people that they can empower themselves, that they can love themselves, that they too are loved by God and they have gifts and they are divine and they have purpose, unless you're walking it? And so if you're on the path of ascension, you're constantly evolving yourself. You're constantly growing. You're leaving dynamics and vibrations that do not belong to you all the time. You have to leave people behind. And it's sad, it's heartbreaking. But as a healer now, if you're on this path, if you're watching now or later, then I'm here to remind you that you don't have to absorb the pain into your body. You can see pain, you can hear pain, and just as much you can see God. Did you know that? You can see God in this earth. You can see heaven. You can see your angels and your ancestors. They're all around you. And so you're shifting at this time, if you're watching this. You're shifting to be able to see higher light in your life. You're able to perceive and see the blessings. You can see your path clearly. You can walk it. But so much as that empath, as that highly sensitive person, as that light worker, you find a sense of sanctimonium, of being able to feel pain, because that's healing. But you don't have to. You don't have to absorb it. You can look at it, perceive it, and let it go. Detach from it. Keep walking your path of ascension. Keep your eyes on God, on the divine, on that love. Let it guide your path. And that is how you break people free. That is how you heal people. The greatest healers and teachers in your life will tell you this. They will not want you to attach to them. They will not want you to believe that they are the source of healing and love and happiness in your life. They will want you to seek that for themselves, for yourself, and for themselves. They will show you the way. And you are here to show others the way. So if you're watching this, you are upgrading right now. You're on an ascension path. So not only can you see the divine right now, your eyes are opening to see how God is gifting your life right now, how blessed you are. Perceiving reality in a whole new and higher dimension, despite acknowledging and having awareness of darkness, of pain, of war, of poverty, of rape, of oppression. You can see it. You can look at it. But you do not have to live there. You are allowed to live in freedom. You are supposed to live in freedom. In fact, that is your natural vibration. Spiritual freedom, when you identify that you are a spiritual being in this human body. And so we shed. Just like one day we will leave this body, we can shed energies. It's okay to grow. It's okay to evolve. You're supposed to, especially if you're on this path with me as a leader, as a teacher in some type of way, to whatever community you're in, whatever family you're in, whatever platform you're on, whatever business you've started. So not only are you able to see the divine right now, or you're about to, you can hear. You can hear your ancestors. You can hear your angels. You can hear the voice of God yourself. You do not have to rely on other people so much for that validation, for that love. You don't realize you're seeking in everyone around you instead of looking within and acknowledging that God is with you, that your angels are right there. Did you know that? Your angels are literally in your auric field, right behind you. Massive energies of love. And you can open your eyes and you can open your ears to hear and to listen. And can you trust at that point When you hear that higher guidance, when you hear that voice of love and of light entering your consciousness, are you listening? Are you honoring it? Or are you too afraid to trust it? Are you afraid of faith? Are you afraid of who the divine is asking you to become? And that is why we run from that inner voice, our intuition, that love within that is speaking to us at all times, that we have access to. You do. You do not have to be seeking YouTube videos or pastors or mentors all the time. You are just as powerful. There is a guru, there is a teacher inside of you, always speaking to you. So are you listening? Do you hear? And if you're watching this, then either you are, you're about to hear the true voice of God on your own. And you can listen to it and you can guide yourself. That is the path of ascension. So yes, you can be an empath. You can feel people's pain. You can feel your pain. You can be brought to tears at every corner. That darkness in this earth is never going to go away. Suffering is never going to go away until we're all one. We're all part of the divine. We're all in the fifth dimension. And how do we get there? How do we elevate the consciousness of humanity to be one? You have to rise. You have to go there. And so you want to stay stuck. You want to sit with people through their suffering. And I understand. But now is the time to receive your blessings. Now is the time to see. Now is the time to hear. You don't always have to feel. You can protect yourself. The path of transformation, the path of self-development, healing, and spirituality doesn't have to just be through this body. For you to receive the love of God, for you to receive the blessings, you do not have to work your body. You do not have to labor your body all the time. And the moment you transcend out of the body into consciousness, into the connectedness you have with the divine, when you acknowledge your spiritual gifts, your whole life changes. You don't have to worry about the superficial things of food and shelter and all those things. You're taken care of, you're provided for. You are living in a higher dimension in the mind first. So go there. And when you lift and raise your vibration in your consciousness into living in a higher vibration despite these loving attachments, these addictions, the cravings that the human flesh wants to have, it wants to stay low. It wants to stay grounded. But the more you familiarize yourself with your own guidance, your own spiritual guidance, your own higher path, the more you talk to God on your own, in your own prayer time, the more those things that keep you in survival mode are going to dissolve. So this is the path of ascension. And if you're dedicated, if you're truly devoted and committed to this path of healing, of building a legacy for yourself, of honoring and discovering your soul purpose, then you have to accept that you are not a victim and you are not imprisoned to this flesh, to this body, or whatever foundation you find yourself in, whatever situation you are in. You are not stuck there. That feeling of being stuck and trapped, of being in pain, is an illusion. There can be a shift in perception. You can free yourself. And it can happen like that. And people don't want to hear that. They're afraid to hear that. Because then we have to take some type of accountability and responsibility for where we are in our present moment. In all of our suffering, it's easier to blame the world. It's easier to blame other people for where we are. But as a healer, as an empath, as a teacher, we have to remind ourselves and other people that they are an empowered being. They are not a victim for life. We're just experiencing soul lessons. We're all brave souls experiencing difficult things, facing our own sufferings. And no suffering is better or worse than the other. No one can say that. My suffering is worse than yours. How do you know? And should it even matter? It doesn't matter because we're connected, because we are one. And so I honor your pain, and my pain is honored. So the essence of this message today is to start speaking to yourself, speaking life and love over yourself in the mind first, over yourself in your own prayer, to other people. Everything that comes out of your mouth is a blessing or a curse. Everything. We do not have to put so much significance to what is temporary, which is this body. And so let's stop romanticizing pain, the suffering. You know, we get so attached to our suffering because we identify with it so much we don't even know who we are without our suffering. We don't even know it's possible to live without suffering until you see someone in that vibration. And you are being called, if you're listening now, to be that somebody, to be that someone, to show the vibration of what it's like to truly live in freedom and live in peace. And you will not get there. You cannot get there unless you free yourself, unless you detach, unless you allow yourself the grace enough and the forgiveness enough to say, I am not a victim right now. I am an empowered soul. I chose this before I came here. I chose this path, and therefore I am strong enough. Therefore, God and my angels and my ancestors have already known this was going to happen, and they're right here with me. And even though I feel like dying right now, even though I feel like giving up, even though I see no hope and see no future, I know there is more light. You do know. And if you're watching this video, again, the message is you're about to see how God is blessing you right now. You're about to shift your perception. You're about to free yourself. You have to find that little glimmer of light that is always there because God, the divine source spirit, is perfect. We are not perfect, but God is. And so whatever is happening in your life has a significant divine purpose, a soul lesson that is going to grow you and strengthen you and bless humanity. No matter how small or insignificant you think you are, no. Nobody is. Everybody has purpose. Everyone you've ever met in your life was God speaking to you, was God being present, teaching you something. There's God in everybody. So you're about to see the blessing. You're about to see God in your life, and you're about to hear truly the voice of God. When you raise your consciousness into that, when you can actually hear and see the divine, you will be able to detach and release that pain, that trauma that you've stored in your muscles, in your body, that makes you ache. The reality where you think you're stuck, that you can't lose the weight, you can't get a better job, you can't get a better car, that is all going to shift. Because you're shifting and raising consciousness. That is what's happening right now. And when you're at the peak of that transcendence, of true release of trauma, of pain, when you're seeking a higher, when you're receiving a higher vibration, you're transcending into enlightenment right now, then everything in your life has changed. And everything in your life will fall apart. That is when we ache. That is when our pain body starts to really try to get us. That is when we're on the floor and we can't take any more pain. And that's because you're releasing it. And that pain will even quicker release in the moment you see the blessing behind it. And I know that's hard for somebody who has been through extreme turmoil, extreme pain. They are extremely suffering right now. The blessing in it, it will shift and it will leave and you will release it. So I'm sorry this message is so serious tonight, but I have to speak to somebody who needs to get up, who needs to still trust that God loves them. And that this pain is temporary, this body is temporary, but what is infinite is the knowing of God. And that is why we're here, to better love. And if we want to learn how to love, what has to happen? The absence of it, the disease, the dis-ease. And it's uncomfortable. But there's a blessing in it. Behind every grief is joy. God does not take away without gifting us something. Because that's the God that loves you and wants better for you. God does not leave us void. The Holy Spirit, Source Divine, whatever you consider a higher loving power, does not leave you void. It is your own perception that you are without something. Because that's what happens when we fall into this human flesh. We forget. We forget what it means to be divine, to be whole, to be loved. And our only lesson every day, the miracle of every day, is to remember and to see while you're in the fire, when you're in your suffering, to still see God's love. That's amazing. And if you're not there yet, you're about to be. You're about to hear and you're about to see. So I pray this blesses you. Thank you so much for listening. If I can be of support to you on your path, please let me know. You can email me. Check out my website. You can join the free group coaching call every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's called The Medicine Garden. You guys can meet each other and get to know me a little bit better. I have my copy of Phoenix Medicines finally in my hands. Thank you so much for everyone who has purchased a copy. And that is all. If you would like to come visit me in retreat, if you need a personal retreat, come visit me in Highlands, North Carolina. And peace and love to you. Please be brave. And I'll talk to you soon.